NGOLO Kanté had always been known for his humility and generosity. Since becoming a global football star, he had never forgotten his roots. Growing up in a hardworking family of Malian immigrants in France, he was always aware of the hardships his ancestors had faced. Over the years, he had helped his family in various charities, but he felt there was still something greater he could do. One day, after a conversation with his mother, he decided it was time to give back directly to his origins. That was how Kanté embarked on a journey that would change not only the lives of many people, but also his own. He wanted to visit the town where his great-grandparents were born, a small village in West Africa. The region, plagued by poverty and a lack of infrastructure, was in desperate need of help. Although he knew the mission was challenging, his determination and generous heart pushed him forward. Upon arriving in the country, Kanté was warmly welcomed by the locals. For many, it was almost unbelievable that one of the world's greatest football players was there, walking through the dusty streets, shaking hands with children and the elderly, and attentively listening to the struggles the community faced. He did not come with spotlights, cameras, or grand announcements, but rather with a sincere gaze and a genuine intention to make a difference. The town's elders took him on a tour to show him the most affected areas. The houses were fragile, made of mud and straw, and many families lived in precarious conditions. There was no proper hospital, and the local school was an improvised structure, lacking basic educational materials. Water supply was a constant problem, with women and children walking miles to fetch clean water. Every story he heard strengthened his resolve to take action. Kanté spent weeks talking with community leaders, architects, engineers, and local specialists. He wanted to ensure that his project would be sustainable and that the community itself would be involved in rebuilding the town. To him, simply financing the changes was not enough. What truly mattered was ensuring that people had autonomy and opportunities for growth. In addition to investing his own money, Kanté used his influence to attract partners and donors interested in supporting the cause. His prestige in the football world opened doors, and major companies and humanitarian organizations joined him to transform that reality. News of his initiative began to spread. International media started covering his journey, but Kanté never sought the spotlight. He turned down extravagant interviews and always emphasized that the true importance of the project was not his image, but the impact it would have on people's lives. Over time, the first steps of reconstruction began. Machinery arrived, local workers were hired, and the town started to take on a new shape. Hope, once dormant, was reignited in the hearts of the people. The promise of a better future was no longer a distant dream, but a reality in the making. The first few months of work were intense. NGOLO Kanté made sure to personally oversee every stage of the reconstruction. He was not just a financier of the project, but a true leader, walking through the streets of the town, talking to workers, and listening to the concerns of the residents. His simplicity and constant presence made him feel like more than just a famous footballer. He was seen as a son of that land, someone who genuinely cared about the future of the community. The first major breakthrough was the construction of a water supply system. With the drilling of artesian wells and the installation of a modern piping system, the town finally had access to clean water in every home. Women and children who once walked miles under the scorching sun to fetch water could now fill their buckets right at their doorstep. It was a change that directly improved the population's quality of life, reducing diseases and enhancing sanitary conditions. Meanwhile, the construction of the hospital was progressing rapidly. Kanté brought in specialists to ensure the facility was equipped with modern technology and that qualified doctors were recruited. He knew that simply building the hospital was not enough. It was crucial to provide quality healthcare. To support this, he created a special fund to cover the salaries of medical professionals and provide free medication for the community in the first few years of operation. Now children, the elderly and pregnant women, who once had to travel to distant cities for medical care, had a proper hospital at their disposal. But Kanté's vision extended beyond infrastructure. He wanted to ensure the town had a sustainable future where its residents had real opportunities for growth. That's why education became a central pillar of the transformation. New schools were built, equipped with spacious classrooms, libraries, and science labs. In addition to traditional schooling, vocational and technical courses were introduced to train young people and adults. The goal was to ensure that future generations would not have to leave the town in search of work, but could instead thrive right where they were, contributing to local development. Job creation was a constant concern for Kanté. He knew that many people depended on subsistence farming and informal trade, with little hope for economic advancement. To change this reality, he encouraged the formation of agricultural cooperatives and small businesses, offering microloans so residents could invest in their own ventures. Football, of course, also had its place. Kanté funded the construction of a sports center, where children and teenagers could train and dream of pursuing a professional career. To him, sports were a powerful tool for social transformation, capable of teaching discipline, teamwork, and opening doors to a better future. The impact of these changes was felt quickly. Within a few months, the once forgotten town began to transform into a model of development. Journalists from around the world started visiting the area to tell the story of the project led by the French star. However, despite all the attention, Kanté remained humble. He avoided grand speeches and always emphasized that the project's success was only possible because the community itself was committed to building a new future. The locals began calling Kanté the angel of the town, and his name was spoken with gratitude in every conversation. To the children, he was a real-life hero, an example that success should not be measured only by personal achievements, but by one's ability to help others. As the work progressed, events were organized to celebrate each new milestone. The hospital's inauguration was one of the most emotional moments. During the ceremony, an elderly woman who had struggled for years with an untreated illness held Kanté's hands and, with tears in her eyes, said, "You didn't just bring healthcare to our town, you brought us hope." And hope was exactly what Kanté wanted to spread. He knew that the project would not end with the completion of the buildings. His goal was to ensure that the town became self-sufficient, capable of growing and thriving without constant external donations. To achieve this, he planned the final steps of his mission, creating a community council to manage resources and establishing an efficient local governance system. As the town took its new shape, Kanté felt that his mission was reaching a crucial point. But he still had one final challenge ahead, ensuring that all these changes would last and that the town would never fall back into neglect and abandonment. With the town nearly rebuilt and its infrastructure fully operational, NGOLO KANTÉ shifted his focus to the most important step of his mission, ensuring that all the progress would last. He knew that his work couldn't be just a temporary aid. It had to be a definitive transformation that would allow the community to grow independently and sustainably. The first major step was the creation of the Community Council, made up of local leaders, teachers, doctors, farmers, and young entrepreneurs. Kanté believed that the people themselves should be the ones making decisions about the town's future. The council would be responsible for managing resources, coordinating education, healthcare, and economic projects, and ensuring that investments were used in the best possible way. To strengthen this autonomy, Kanté brought in experts in community management who provided training to help the leaders learn how to administer funds, plan projects, and seek new opportunities for growth. Another crucial step was ensuring that the town's new economy had the support needed to keep growing. With the agricultural cooperatives already in operation, he partnered with regional and even international companies so that the products grown by local farmers could be sold at fair prices. Commerce began to flourish, and small factories were established to process food and manufacture goods, creating even more jobs. The sports center also became a symbol of hope for the youth. Renowned coaches were invited to train aspiring athletes, and scouts from African and European clubs began visiting the town in search of new talent. For Kanté, sports were more than just a professional opportunity. They were a way to keep young people away from violence and crime, teaching them discipline, motivation, and purpose. Education was further strengthened with a scholarship program for the most promising students to study at universities, both within and outside the country. But to Kanté, the most important thing was for these young people to return to the town after graduation, bringing back knowledge and innovation to continue the local development. As the months passed, the transformation of the town became undeniable. The once dirt roads were now paved, homes were safe and well-structured, and children ran happily through the plazas, no longer haunted by the uncertainty of their future. The hospital had already saved countless lives, the school was shaping new generations, and businesses were thriving like never before. NGOLO Kanté's name was revered by all, and even though he never sought recognition, he had become a true hero. But, true to his humility, he never saw himself as superior to anyone. To him, the real success of the mission was in the smiles of the people, in the restored dignity, and in the certainty that this town would never be forgotten again. At a grand event organized by the community, the residents decided to honor him. During the ceremony, a statue of Kanté was unveiled in the main square. On the monument, a plaque carried the following inscription: "He who came not to be served, but to serve. The Son of Hope, the Angel of the Town." Seeing the statue, Kanté was visibly moved. He had never done any of this for recognition, but witnessing the positive impact of his actions on the lives of these people was the greatest reward he could ever receive. Years later, the town continued to grow independently. The community council was functioning well. The residents had jobs and opportunities, and the youth saw a promising future without needing to leave their homeland. Kanté knew that his mission was complete. Before leaving, he met with the town's elders. They blessed him and told him that his name would be passed down for generations as the man who had brought life back to that land. But in his farewell, Kanté made sure to remind them, "You always had this strength within you. I just came to remind the world of the value this town has." And so, without fanfare or spectacle, just as he had always been, NGOLO Kanté said his goodbyes. But his legacy would never be forgotten. He had not just rebuilt a town, he had reignited a people, giving them pride, dignity, and a future. And forever, his name would be remembered as a true hero.